Hello, I'm John
And I'm Michelle.
with the SWAT team with Realty One Group Results. And today we're going to do a program, part one of several parts of Ask a Home Inspector. And today we got with us is Johnny Ham with Warrior Home Inspections.
Good morning.
Doing okay today, Johnny?
I'm doing great.
All right.
So, just tell the audience out there, this is actually a home
Yeah, this is actually a home we're doing today.
that we're inspecting for our clients, and what a beautiful home.
It is. It's a beautiful day. So, Johnny, why is it important for buyers to have home inspections?
Well, number one, to be a home inspector in the state of North Carolina, it is very detailed. So you have to have over 120 hours of schoolwork, classroom work, and then once you pass the certifications, then you have to go spend 10 days in the field with a master certified home inspector. So by the time you do all that and you get licensed, then you have to take a state exam, which, back when I took it in 20, it had a 60% fail rate. So only 40%, and then you had to wait a whole year. So the amount of training that we get as home inspectors, and look, a lot of people knows different stuff about houses, but what separates home inspectors versus someone that has a trade is we're going very detailed checklist, everything from the foundation to the roof, all the systems, and making sure that it operates as intended and that everything's functional. And if not, it's our duty to let the client know that.
Right.
And I think you answered part of my question is, what should home buyers expect? You want to add on anything?
Yeah, I'd love to. Well, number one, at Warrior Home Inspections, our motto is that we're going to serve our clients with the same love and passion as serving our nation. I'm a retired Air Force veteran, and it was an honor in my lifetime to be able to serve. So that same love and passion is what we try to put into our clients and make sure that we're doing a good job. So as a buyer, you should accept that you should want a very detailed, thorough inspection, and also you definitely want professionalism. So if you have questions with any kind of home inspection, you should be able to pick up the phone or call or email and talk to the home inspector. Keep in mind, like me, I'm the owner of the company, but during the day I'm out inspecting homes for other clients. But professionalism, buyers should inspect. They should also want a detailed home inspection that goes along with it.
And the other side is, what can sellers do to prepare? You have somebody that owns a house, they want to sell it. What can a seller do to avoid problems and help them prepare?
Well, sellers, just make sure that the house is readily available for the home inspection. For example, most attics spaces are in closets. So if you got a closet and it's filled from the floor all the way to the top.
You don't want to have to empty the closet.
Well, we're not allowed to by the state of North Carolina. So I would say clear back, closets where you have attics. Also, make your home available so that you're moving personal items so that the inspector can get to everything. A lot of crawl spaces, some crawl spaces are big enough where you can store stuff, just move around stuff. So, and answer any questions. If a home inspector asks you any kind of question, answer it. Now, also what sellers, we are not going to damage your property. We inspect thousands of houses. We're going to come in, we're going to respect if it's wet or rainy or muddy outside, we're going to wear boot covers. That's what we do at Warrior, because this is not our property, and while we're here, we're going to protect the owner's property.
Which is part of professionalism.
Yeah, it's all about professionalism.
Yeah. So obviously there are home inspections all across the state of North Carolina, but being in the North Carolina mountains, what do you find for some of the major issues that you might find in a home?
Well, in North Carolina, it's in the mountains, it's almost like a rainforest environment. It rains a lot. So everyone always asks me, you know, Johnny, what's the number one concern to a home? And I always tell everybody, stop water, stop moisture intrusion, whether it's coming into the roof, coming in through the foundation, and also to go along with that, you know, a lot of our homes are built on the side of grades where the grade is coming down to a home.
We see that a lot, yeah.
So you definitely have to pay attention to that. And gutters, as simple as gutters, they can do a lot of damage if they're stopped up, if they're not draining water effectively from the home. And a lot of times when I run into foundation issues, it's normally the result of no maintenance to the gutter system.
So drainage, basically.
Yeah, drainage and water.
Okay.
And my last question, and we'll do another Ask a Home Inspector a couple of weeks down the road. We'll meet you again and hit on more details. Are there any red flags to look for when you're considering a home?
You know, the best advice that I could give to buyers out there, if you're going out on an appointment to look at a home, to look at a listing, step back from the property from a distance and just look at it. You know, you can tell a lot. You can tell whether you have negative grade issues. You can tell whether the house is being umbrellaed by large trees, which, you know, if you have storms, could do a lot of damage. There's lots of things that you could tell. Just step back, take an overall vision of the property.
Okay.
And that would help you as well. So a lot of people get scared about cracks. Let's talk about cracks. Every home cracks. Every home settles. If you were building a brand new house, within the first 6 months to a year, it's going to settle. You're going to have minor cracks in drywall. You're going to even have minor cracks in foundation. That is typical. That's part of the home buying process. So don't let cracks scare you. Now, of course, what's the difference between a minor and a major crack? At Warrior Home Inspections, my guideline is if a crack is a half inch or more, or we got displacement or shifted or movement, then it's a major foundation crack. And then we would recommend a structural engineer.
So if a client is walking through a house and sees what we often see, you know, a little crack in the ceiling or in a wall, that's not something to automatically be scared of.
It is not. It is typical and it's part of the process. And if you're buying a 1903 old farmhouse, it's very typical for the floors to roll because the settling process over years, you know, you wouldn't be looking at that type of house and you know, expect that all the floors are going to be perfectly level, because that's not realistic.
So it's not necessarily a bad thing when you do see some of those things, because that's often a scare for people when they say, "Oh, the house is old."
Absolutely.
You know?
And something also, the last thing I'll say about this is a lot of things in homes can be fixed. And there's a home out there for everyone. We all have different financial situations. You know, some people just need a good shelter over their head. And as Warrior Home Inspections, we don't judge a home or any of that. We just go in there and we inspect and report the facts of the home.
Do what you're called to do,
Well, thanks for your time today. We know you're busy, and we work with Johnny and Warrior Home Inspections right much because of our working relationship, and also he uses the most latest technology. And thanks for watching this episode of High Country Living. We have Warrior Home Inspections, and I'm John and Michelle Swart at Swart Team at Realty One Group Results. Thank you.
And these are phenomenal real estate agents.